This conference.
Okay, so again, sorry one more time for the technical difficulty we had with this GoToMeetings. So I was talking about my profile, right? So I've been currently working as director for software quality engineering department for an MNC here in Hyderabad, and then I shuffle across multiple cities within India to meet my customers. And when it comes to trainings, it's a passion that I have, and have been doing these corporate trainings from close to last 15 years. I have delivered close to, I would say, around 1,000+ trainings across corporate companies, online trainings and in-house trainings to corporates across the length and breadth of India, thus benefiting nearly 10,000+ corporate students across multiple streams of software testing. So I deal with programs such as performance testing, security testing, automation testing of front-end applications, and then back-end APIs. I also deal with accessibility testing and DevOps tools like Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Jenkins, so forth. So that's a quick high-level profile introduction about my profile. I have given this introduction so that you know at least who is giving this demonstration. And if you're opting for this course, you know your trainer very well in advance. And coming specifically to the training program, I'm sharing my content on the screen. I hope everyone is able to view this. This course has been designed specifically by me, and it has gone through multiple revisions in the last 5 years. And this is the curriculum that I teach even to corporates like IBM, Infosys, Microsoft, Oracle, etc. And sometimes when I get some times in the evenings, I do these kind of public batches. And I work very closely with Isha Training Solutions team. So we have recently completed a batch in the month of you know mid of September to mid of October, and we had a very good response from the participants. So we are starting a batch. Today is the first day of the demonstration class, of course. So in this demonstration class, I would like you guys to understand what I teach. So I'm not going to show you one API and then run it and then give a report. That's kind of not so realistic or not so materialistic in a training program. So the intention of this demonstration is pretty simple. Understand your expectations on the training, and you will also understand what I will train you and what is that you guys will get from me. Okay, this is what I'm going to teach. And at any point of time, if you have a question, do not wait until the end of the meeting. You can ask me, you can stop me then and there itself, and you can put forward your question. So this course spans for 25 working days. Of course, every day would be 1 hour is what we are going to allocate for training programs. The same timings, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST, Indian Standard Timings. And in case if the democracy says that, hey, we need 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., we are okay with that. But again, the democracy will win the rule. Now, all the classes that I teach will be recorded, and the recordings will be made available on YouTube, and you will get access to those YouTube recordings. Plus, I will give you guys a Google Drive access, which contains all the API documentation, all the detailed notes that I have prepared for all the chapters that I'm going to teach you guys. So if you want to see how the Google Drive looks like, I'm sharing my screen here. So this is the documentation that I have already prepared, which has step-by-step process of how to do API automation testing using Postman tool. And it's a ready-made material which I've already prepared in advance, so you guys will get it on a daily basis. And this course happens to be 95% practical training program with hands-on experiences that I'm going to share during the training program, with 5% being the theory in the first 3 chapters. So let me quickly walk through what is that we have in the store. So chapter 1 introduces everyone to the client and server architecture model, where we'll understand the definition of an API, why do we need APIs, and where do we use APIs in most of the enterprise applications. To give a quick overview, API stands for Application Programming Interface. Today, 95% of the mobile apps or the .com applications that run on browsers, they are built using backend APIs. Only 5% of the applications exist on this internet without APIs, which means there's a huge demand for the API developers and API test engineers, because 95% of the market of the applications, they use APIs. When it comes to API, the simplest definition is it is a kind of interface that enables data communication or data transfer or data exchange between multiple modules in a given enterprise application. So these APIs exchange data from one module to another module through different data description formats such as JSON format or XML format, HTML format, text format, YAML format. So we'll understand how these data description formats look like. What is the definition of an API from a diagrammatical perspective? I will give all those clues to you guys in chapter 1. Apart from this, we will also try to understand what exactly is a client and a server, and how does the client and server architecture looks like when you're testing APIs for functional testing or performance testing or security testing. So this client and server discussion would be pretty much interesting. It would go at least for 1 hour, where we'll talk about what is a request, what is a response, what are request headers, response headers, what are the different protocols available in the industry, and the difference between HTTP protocol versus HTTPS. During this process, we'll understand the encryption algorithms that HTTPS protocol uses, such as SSL protocol or TLS protocol. You'll also understand how to find out which kind of protocol is our developer using. Is it secured or unsecured? Is it TLS 1.0 or 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.3? You'll understand the entire handshaking process that happens when API client talks to API server. We'll also try to understand the different HTTP methods such as get, post, put, patch, delete, etc., along with the different response codes and response description. So this client and server architecture becomes the pillar and the foundation for API testing. Though this is a theoretical discussion for 1 hour, you will love that session because a lot of new things is what you're going to learn or probably get introduced to, and that will pave a path for your success in API testing, either for functional or performance or security. In the same chapter 1, we'll also talk about the 3 different systems that are there in a typical enterprise application, namely the front-end system, which is the UI layer, then the back-end system, which is the layer where APIs are designed and developed, and third, the server or the database, where the final set of validations happen. So front-end systems are called as consumers, back-end systems are called as producers, and server and database systems are also called as consumers. So we'll try to understand these 3 systems and these 3 roles. Maybe you guys can go on mute. If there is a question, you can unmute. Yeah, I've just muted Adnan. In case if you have a question, please unmute and do let me know. Yeah, so that's chapter 1 is what we have in the store. Then in chapter 2, we'll discuss about the different types of APIs. When I say types of APIs, we have the classification of APIs and the evolution of APIs. When I talk about evolution of APIs, way back in the year 2000, which is like 23 years before, XML RPC, which is nothing but remote procedure calls type of APIs were designed and developed. That was like the first technology used by developers for APIs communication. Later it became outdated. Then the industry designed SOAP APIs, which stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, which is still being used today. However, it is 90% outdated in the market. Only 10% of the organizations are using it. And the latest technology that is introduced by Google almost 10 years before was REST APIs, which stands for Representational State Transfer. So when you claim that you are an API test engineer, you should be comfortable testing SOAP APIs as well as REST APIs. And Postman tool helps us in the automation process of SOAP APIs as well as REST APIs. So we will be covering these 2 APIs practically in this course. Then if you talk about classification of APIs, in the interviews or in the organizations, the developers use these words: consumer APIs, enterprise APIs, public APIs, private APIs, authorized APIs, unauthorized APIs, secured APIs, unsecured APIs. Pretty simple, all these things. Public APIs are those APIs which are accessible even from your home network. Kind of work from home concept. These APIs are available for your access, for your testing, even from your home network. Then you have private APIs. These APIs are accessible only if you are connected to your organization virtual private network or your client virtual private network, which means you cannot access on any network. So those are kind of private APIs. Then you have secured APIs. These APIs have a user authorization process, such as a username and a password, or an API access token, or a API key. So you have to input some secret data to access the API or to test the API. So they come under secured APIs or authorized APIs. Then we have unsecured APIs or unauthorized APIs. So these APIs do not have any username, password, or a token as such. So in this course, we are going to cover all these things except private APIs, because private APIs are usually not available on the internet. You need to have a VPN connection to test them. So I'm going to take public APIs, secured APIs, unsecured APIs in this course. Then we'll talk about the difference between different types of APIs, such as, hey, do you know how does an API look like? The structure of it, the syntax of it. Most of the times it becomes a black box answer for the participants. So this topic in chapter 2 will make you comfortable to understand what are the different components, attributes of an API. Once you understand this, it becomes a cakewalk to understand an API when you get it from your developer, or write some dummy examples of designing an API, publish the internet, where you can see some REST APIs and SOAP APIs. I can show even now, but that would yield in some confusions because we have not yet discussed a lot of things. But this is what we have in store for chapter 2. Chapter 3 is the USP of our course, universal selling point of our course, and for you also a selling point in your interviews or in your career shift. Guys, give me just 1 second. Thank you for waiting. Yeah, so chapter 3 focuses on the different testing techniques that you have to execute for APIs, right? So if you answer these testing techniques both theoretically and practically, that's where you become a true API test engineer. So we'll talk about different testing techniques like command line testing, unsupported HTTP methods testing, broken endpoints testing, tampering the query payload, performance testing, response headers testing for security reasons. Then we'll talk about interoperability testing. Testing techniques are there. I will explain them both theoretically and practically throughout the course. And in this chapter, I'm going to give you a reusable document, which is an API level test plan. So if you're testing APIs, you need to have a test strategy or a test plan in mind, which talks about what testing techniques you will do, who will do, what tools do you use, and when will you do, what is the deliverable for each testing technique. That's what this API test plan document will talk about, and this is a deliverable I'm going to give you. Then I will also design some reusable test cases for APIs, meaning you don't need to write test cases separately for APIs. Because my experience has proven that if you have some reusable generic test cases, you can just tweak it for your specific project. In fact, when you ask these questions in the interviews, like if I give you an API, how do you test it? I never will give you an edge over other people. In case if you're giving some or particular customers, you'll obviously get a technical recognition once you explain this chapter 3 to them in a better way. So until chapter 3, it is more of a theoretical subject. 3 chapters will take 4 days of our training program, but this 4 days is the foundation of the entire training program. In fact, most of the people in the job industry, they're not aware of chapter 1, 2, 3, but they claim they're API testers. So these 3 chapters will make you feel very much comfortable, confident, and highly enthusiastic, and kind of enriching experience before you attempt the practical testing of APIs. Let me take a small pause here. Anyone has a question? Anyone wants to say anything?
Yeah, Kiran sir.
Can someone please confirm? Am I audible still, or I'm lost?
Yeah, you are audible, sir. But in between,
Sir,
your voice is breaking.
yes, your voice is
Yeah. Okay, I'm audible, right?
Not
Fine.
getting. Not getting your clear
Okay,
understanding
okay.
what you are
Thank you.
saying.
Between? Oh, is my voice still breaking?
Yeah, yes, still breaking.
Okay, let me close certain applications. Okay, I've closed almost all the applications. Let's see if this works. I think one of you can unmute and just alert me if anything that you do not understand or if my voice is still breaking. Uh, so chapter 4, if you look at chapter 4, this is where we are going to start downloading the tool Postman from their official website, postman.com/downloads. We'll install the tool, we'll do a sign up to this tool, and then we'll sign in. And then we'll have a quick walkthrough of the entire graphical user interface of the Postman tool so that we understand what features are available in the tool, what functionalities are available, and what are the features that we are going to discuss in this training. That's what chapter 4 focuses on. Chapter 5 onwards, we are going to design the framework for Postman until the last chapter. So chapter 5 will talk about the hierarchy of test elements that you have to create in Postman. The first thing that you create is a workspace. A workspace is a project repository that you create. We have multiple types of workspaces in Postman. You can make your workspace public so everyone can access it. You can make it specific to your team members, only your team members can access it. You can make your workspace personal, only you can access it. So I'll explain how to create this workspace, how to invite your team members, how to delete your workspace, or how to you convert your personal workspace to a team, or a public workspace to team, or a team to public, or a personal to public. So the conversion of workspaces, creation of workspaces, inviting members to workspaces is what chapter 5 will focus upon. Any questions on chapter 4 and chapter 5? Please confirm. If you want me to repeat, I can repeat again. Guys, am I clear?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay. Then we have chapter 6. So chapter 6 focuses upon taking different projects for RESTful APIs and SOAP APIs, where I will take the Swagger documentation, take care of HTML documentation. We'll discuss about curl format. We'll talk about the browser format, which is a HAR file or a YAML file or a JSON, because the API document from the developers can come in any format. So we'll take a look at all these formats so that you are ready for the interviews, you are ready for the real-time project. And we will see how to create your framework from a smoke testing perspective, negative testing perspective, or regression testing perspective. We'll take examples of APIs that uses authorization header and APIs that do not use authorization header, meaning security APIs and unsecured APIs. So we are going to cover all these type of APIs in this particular chapter 6. Okay, and we will start generating test reports by writing JavaScripts in chapter 6. So there are a lot of JavaScripts that you have to write to start automating your APIs. Obviously, the question will be, do I need to learn JavaScript and then join this course, or should I be a programmer to do this thing? The answer is absolutely not necessary. We're not going to be writing hundreds of lines of code for JavaScript. Most of the JavaScripts are already built in Postman tool, and couple of general reusable
Sir, your voice is
JavaScripts
not.
are also available in the Postman tool. We have to just copy them and paste, or we have to use them as a template and execute it.
Sir, it is
Am I
breaking
still not
completely.
audible? I think one
It
of you
is
confirmed
breaking,
I'm
sir.
audible.
Your voice is breaking, sir.
It's
One second.
totally
Let me
breaking
share.
in between.
Yeah, I'm just stopping my screen share. Tell me.
Still breaking, still goes out.
Yeah, is it better now? Bharat, Tash, is it okay now? I've stopped my screen share. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes.
you're audible, sir.
Okay, I think there's an issue with the server. I'm not sure, but let me reshare my screen. And if the audio is again getting little disconnected, don't mind. You can alert me. But this is a little strange why it's happening all of a sudden. Um, okay, so I was talking about chapter 6. So chapter 6 is all about testing different types of REST APIs and SOAP APIs with JavaScripts and without JavaScripts. This is where we are going to deal with APIs with security and without security. We'll also design a framework like positive test cases and negative test cases, or smoke test cases, regression test cases. Okay. And chapter 7 is also something similar to chapter 6, but just that a concept called as collections will be introduced. Collection is a folder like structure inside which you group all your APIs. So let me tell you something like you have a parent folder, which I call it as a collection. Inside the collection, you will have your APIs, both positive way of testing the APIs and negative way of testing the APIs. So this way, you will be able to integrate your Postman automation with any other tool in the market like Jenkins or Jmeter or GitHub or Bitbucket. So collection is a folder-like structure, and it's a kind of brainy portion for the automation tool. Then chapter 8 focuses on detailed automation. So when I say detailed automation, this is where you will understand data-driven automation testing. Now, data-driven automation testing means testing the same set of APIs with different values of test data. So we can supply the test data either from a comma separated values file like CSV file or Postman functions. So we are going to look into both Postman functions and creating our own test data and testing the APIs with our test data. Okay, am I clear until this point?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. Then in this extended automation, we're also going to talk about interoperability testing, which is nothing but kind of browser compatibility testing and operating system compatibility testing. So how do you check that your APIs, which are consumed by a mobile app or a web application, will work on iPhone, will work on Android, will work on Chrome browser, Microsoft Edge browser, etc., or Linux operating system, Mac operating system, Windows operating system? To confirm that these APIs work on different operating systems and browsers and smartphones, we use this testing called as interoperability testing. A pretty easy topic, but very important in the interviews and also in the real-time projects. We have to do this interoperability testing. So that's also some automation that we are going to learn in this course. Then we'll talk about how to do performance testing or stress testing or load testing of your APIs using Postman tool. And recently, probably 4 months back, Postman has introduced a new feature for performance where you can generate a HTML test report, a PDF test report, and do stress test of your APIs and load test of your APIs for hundreds of users, thousands of users. So that discussion also I have included in my course, and we'll talk about performance testing of APIs. Then we'll talk about how do you do health check of your APIs, which means let's say tomorrow I'm going on a vacation, but tomorrow I know that my developer is going to give me a build and I have to test it, but I'm on a vacation. But still I have to test it because that build testing is pretty much important. So I can configure a scheduler within Postman tool and tell the Postman tool that, hey Postman tool, on my behalf, can you test these APIs, which I have already created in the collection. I have written the JavaScripts. All you have to do is execute this automation work in the morning at 11 a.m. and send a report to my developer and copy me at around 12 p.m. in the afternoon. And Postman will do that. And still I can enjoy my vacation. So that kind of automation also we can do. We call this as outsourced testing or scheduled level testing. In Postman, we call it as monitors. So we call it as Postman monitors. This is also something that we are going to discuss in this chapter 8. And we'll talk about different types of functional checks or assertions, which we call it as, where we will check for response code, response body, response headers, response time. We'll talk about the validations in the JSON body that we are getting. We'll talk about writing while conditions, if conditions. We'll talk about how to skip a tester script, which I don't want to delete, but still I want to skip it. How do you do that? How do you introduce artificial delay during your executions, etc., etc. A lot of assertions we are going to discuss in this chapter, and that is the core of our training program, in fact. Then we also have another testing technique called as API chaining. A must in API testing. API chaining is all about extracting the response from one API and giving it as input to another API. So that process is called as API chaining. So something like I take the data from API 1 and I use some data of API 1 and supply it to API 2 because these APIs are dependent on each other, right? So we are going to discuss about this API chaining in chapter 8. Chapter 9 talks about a feature in Postman called as import feature. Using import feature, you will be able to test APIs in 20 different formats. See, when I say APIs, if you're working for a company like Infosys, the documentation is a little different. If you're working for IBM, the documentation is different. If you're working within your organization, developer 1 follows a different documentation. Developer 2 follows different documentation. So there are different standards how APIs can be written and how they can be documented in different formats. So how Postman tool makes you understand different formats and import them into Postman. That's what chapter 9 focuses on. Without chapter 9, we will have a black box kind of testing. But with the chapter 9, it becomes a white box testing, meaning let the developer give you in any format like a HTML file or a Swagger file or a YAML file or a JSON file or a normal curl file or a GitHub repository or a HAR file, or he says the APIs are available in web browser. The answer how to get them into Postman is import feature, and that's what chapter 9 focuses on. Chapter 10 is also part of chapter 9, which is curl chapter. Chapter 11 focuses on the concept of variables in Postman. In any automation tool, we create variables, right? So Postman is no exception. Here also we create variables like a collection variables, which are called as private variables. Then you have global variables and we have environment variables. There are 3 different ways to create these variables: with JavaScript, without JavaScript, or using a step-by-step wizard, or you can manually write the code in a box and the variable gets created. So chapter 11 will give you 360 degrees view of what is a variable, why are you creating it, what are the purpose to create it, how do you create it, where do you store it, how do you retrieve it, how do you delete it, where all in an API the variable can play a role. So you will understand the entire life cycle of variables in chapter 11, because when a developer gives you APIs, he will make use of variables, and we should also understand the developer's language. Then chapter 12 talks about a very important concept where we will test all the APIs from command prompt, not from the Postman tool. I'll open my command prompt, something like this, and here we will write a command to test our Postman APIs. So to do this, I'm going to teach you another framework or another tool called as Newman, which is a add-on or a plugin that Postman is giving. So using Newman tool framework, we can execute our API automation scripts from the command prompt and generate different types of test reports. So I will generate HTML test reports. We can generate CSV test reports. We can generate JSON test reports, or we can generate XML test reports, or we can generate a test report in the command line itself. And later we can integrate them in the future with Jenkins tool also if you want. So that's the advantage you get with chapter 12. So chapter 12 focuses on this Newman framework and how you can generate all kind of reports and do all kind of API level testing from the command prompt. So chapter 12 becomes basis if you are in your organization. Coming to chapter 13, this is where I'm going to focus on how you will get the debugging information or the troubleshooting help when you are facing some obstacles in Postman tool. Like during the training, I might help you, but after the training, how can you help yourself when you are stuck with something? Chapter 13 is the answer. Okay, so there are different ways to troubleshoot your scripts. There are different ways how you can debug your execution process. There are different ways how you can configure global settings in Postman so that you get a win-win situation in your automation tool. That's what chapter 13 focuses on. And finally, chapter 14 talks about how you can test Postman doing an integration with performance testing tools like Jmeter, or how you can take a backup of your automation work done in Postman to GitHub repository. And if your developer is giving the API documentation in GitHub, how do you bring them from GitHub into Postman? So integration of Postman and other tool is what chapter 14 talks about. Chapter 14 is just an introduction that you will understand that Postman tool can be integrated with a lot of tools in the market. So I'm taking 2 tools for demonstration purpose. So these are the 14 chapters that we have, and this course focuses on manual testing of APIs and automation testing of APIs. When I say automation testing of APIs, I'm covering functional automation and also performance automation using Postman tool. Okay, and this is the kind of lab setup that we are going to do on your computers. I will be helping you guys what to install, when to install, and how to install during the course of the training program. So overall, this is a holistic approach of what I have in my training program. I will now leave the platform to you guys. If you have any questions, you can probably ask me. I know there was little audio issue. I'm extremely sorry about that. But if you have missed something, you want me to repeat it, go ahead, guys.
And I would like to know if you're going
Anyone has?
to
Yeah.
cover the gRPC calls for the Postman. I know we are going to do SOAP and REST APIs. Are we going to cover the gRPC API?
Okay, if it's a specific requirement, I can probably look into that and let you know how that can be done. If you're talking about integration of Jira and Postman, I can help you on that. That's not a big deal.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you so much. Overview on gRPC would be good because I've seen there are companies that would need it. Thank you.
Okay, gRPC. Got it. Yes, I can talk a little bit about that. Postman supports gRPC APIs as well. Good point, Tash.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hello.
Any other point? Yes.
Hello, Kiran sir. As you said, this course is on 95% practical. So we have a dummy application or something like to practice on.
Yes, no, I would not call them as dummy. They are real-time APIs available on the internet, and I will give you guys access to those APIs, and you can practice it anytime from your machine also.
Okay.
So this course, I'm not going to show you any PowerPoint presentations. I'm going to write everything, I'm going to draw everything, and I'm going to do practically using the Postman tool. I will write the JavaScripts before you. And when I'm writing JavaScripts, you will never get a feeling that you don't know anything, because the JavaScript looks pretty much like English language. And we are not going to write like Selenium, I mean, if you have understood Selenium, there people write hundreds and thousands of lines of code. In Postman, we don't have to write so many lines of code. Every snippet is built into the Postman tool, and some additional snippets I have created based on my experience. I will share those things with you. All you have to do is just copy paste those scripts and just tweak it here and there, like fill in the blanks kind of thing. So 99% of the times you will say that you don't need JavaScripting with Postman automation. And that is the reason why every company is behind this tool, because it is open source. It's pretty much programmatically free for so even if you bring in a fresher, he or she will be able to do this. Even if you bring in a non-technical person, he or she would be able to automate APIs using Postman tool. Yeah, so that's the answer for your question. Anyone else has other questions like Bharat? Yeah. Anyone else? Kunal, Geeta, Bharat, Seema, Zahiruddin.
So what's the schedule? How many days is the whole program for?
25 working days, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST.
Okay, 5 weeks. Got it.
Yep.
Hello, sir.
Yep. Yes.
How much will be the batch size?
How much will be the batch size?
How?
Okay.
Yeah, how
It
many
would
students?
not go, I think, based on the enrollments I have currently, I think it won't go beyond 15, somewhere between 10 to 15, Omkar.
Okay. And one more question. Means what is in demand? Rest assured or Postman?
Both of them,
Hello.
but if I have to choose one, I would say Postman, because yeah. Are you hearing me,
Yes, yes, yes.
guys? Am I audible? Yeah. So see, both are good in the market. Rest assured is good. Postman is also equally good. But if you have to choose one, right, from the market perspective, I'm answering this question. People choose Postman because Postman is easy to automate. Rest assured is quite difficult to automate. You need to bring in people with Selenium skill set to do rest assured. But with Postman, you bring in anyone, you train them, they can do magics, they can do wonders. So Postman gets more precedence in the market right now. If I'm speaking about Indian market or outside Indian market as well, it's Postman everywhere now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, Postman is open source tool, right?
Yes, it is open source. It's a free tool.
Okay. But rest assured is we have to pay and buy, right?
No. Rest assured is also open source. The only difference is in Postman, you have the user interface. Like Postman as a tool has the interface. You can see the tool. Let me quickly launch Postman on my computer. So Postman has a graphical user interface. So you write everything inside the Postman tool only. Whereas Rest Assured is a jar file. So it's a library. So it does not have any interface. So you have to depend on a third-party editor like Eclipse or IntelliJ to write it. Opening Postman, I hope you're able to see this. So this is a batch that I'm currently doing. So this is a kind of framework that we are going to build. So you see SOAP APIs, REST APIs. So this is how we performance test. I can just show you quickly some functions here, how you will see the JavaScripts. So this is where you will write the JavaScripts. Okay, so this is what you're going to get familiar with in the course when we're doing it. So this interface is built into the Postman tool, hence it becomes easy for automation. Whereas if you're talking about Rest Assured, you need to use Eclipse, then or IntelliJ editor or a Visual Studio editor or a similar editor, and then start writing everything. You have to download everything, import jars, and you have to be extremely good in Java to achieve that. But with Postman, it's a configuration only because the tool has the interface. I
So
hope that answers your question, Geeta.
even when we are not using Postman
Yes,
as
sir.
a testing, it is usually used to understand the APIs whenever developer give them to you before you can use them in Jmeter or anything.
Yes. So Postman as a tool can be used by developers for designing and developing the APIs. Postman can be used by project managers for creating API documentation. Postman can be used by test engineers for doing regression testing or functional testing of APIs. So Postman is everyone's tool. Developers use it, testers also use it. I hope that answers your question.
So is it used for performance testing too? Because your suite had that performance testing directory there. So can it be used for performance testing?
Yes, we can use it. There's a new feature added in Postman tool around 4 to 6 months back.
We can put load. Okay,
Yeah, we can do that. So I can show it to you.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you see here performance. So you can do performance testing here, but you have to do certain configurations in your APIs before you generate this.
Okay.
And I can in fact show you my previous executions where we did some performance test.
So this performance testing will be covered in there. It'll be a module for this too, right?
Yes, it's part of our training also.
Okay, good.
So the calls, whatever trainings I do, the calls will be recorded. You will get access to the recordings from Isha team. I will be responsible for giving you notes on a daily basis so that you can refer the notes, practice one more time by listening to the video. And the very next day when we are joining for a class, the first 5 to 10 minutes, I usually encourage participants to ask me queries, questions, if they have come across anything. I'll try to answer those queries. And then the remaining 15 minutes, I'll take up the topics that we need to cover in that day. So that's how the training is usually organized. And today is 15th in India, and we are starting the batch from 17th, Friday. So tomorrow, I'm just giving. I'm traveling actually tomorrow. So tomorrow we do not have a class. Usually I start the class the very next day, but I will put a message on the WhatsApp also. 17th Friday is when the batch starts, meaning the day 1, day 2, day classes, everything starts from Friday. The same timings do not change. So if you have any questions with regards to like, hey, do you teach this? Is this covered? Or I didn't understand this? Feel free to post a message on the WhatsApp. I will be responsible to answer all your queries on the WhatsApp as well. Okay. And you can get in touch with Isha team. I mean, if you're coordinating with Anita or anyone from their team, get in touch with them regarding any other queries that you have, like non-technical queries. You can go and talk to them. But anything related to the course, like automation, etc., you can put a message directly to me on the WhatsApp group.
Okay, sir.
Any other
Got it.
questions that participants have got?
As of now, no, sir.
Yeah. So this is the performance report that I ran earlier. I just wanted to show you on November 13th. 2 days back, I have ran for 50 users, and I was able to figure out 83.45% error rate.
Okay.
So this is just a high-level info, just to answer Tasha's question that yes, you can do functional automation and the other automation, and I can show you how the report looks like. So this is a report. We can
Thank you, sir.
generate fantastic reports beyond this also. We will see all these things.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Yes, Somkar.
Are we going to introduce security and performance related concepts?
Yes, like I said, performance is part of the course. Whatever Postman tool can do in performance testing, I will teach you that. And little bit of security testing can also be done with Postman tool. Whatever the tool is capable of, that also I will be teaching in this course.
Okay.
And I'm sure all of you will love this course on the tool. In fact, whether you take it from me or from anyone else, the tool is fantastic. So you'll love enjoying this tool, and then you'll understand the benefit this tool provides. Okay, then I think if there are no more questions, I thank you for your attendance today. For further queries, please post a message on the WhatsApp group. Anita from our team will follow up with you guys just to know if there are any queries that you have. Okay, and I'm repeating again, the batch starts from 17th November and it goes until December 20th, kind of thing, December 25th. Okay, thank you very much, guys, for your time today. Have a good evening and take care.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, I think we can wind up the class for today. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you.